So we have breaking news to share in today's video, which is really about the fact that the unemployment rate right now, but specifically in China, has now officially reached 21.3%. Now, I think it's really important to clarify this has to do with the youth unemployment rate, which basically refers to people under 25 years old. But this is a very, very important demographic, and there's a significance to how this is going to impact us in the US. So definitely listen through even if you're outside of China, because a lot of the stuff that happens here might potentially now come to the US as well, even if it's to a little bit of a smaller but nonetheless pretty important scale. The big idea is that in China right now, the youth unemployment rate, which again refers to people under 25 years old, why this is important is that because this has to deal with the demographic of mostly people that are fresh out of college, fresh out of high school, or just fresh out of school in general. Because of that reason, this is a very, very important demographic. In fact, the unemployment rate right now has gotten so bad in China right now that what's going on is that they've actually stopped reporting these rates since June of 2023. And with the trajectory that they were on, because it's now officially 3 months since June of 2023, if you were watching this on release date, then what this really means is that today it's probably even worse, and it's possible that maybe by now it's over 25% even, and this is just a prediction based off of the trajectory of where they were going. So in today's video, what I really want to talk about is just talking about the situation with what's going on in China right now, their economic collapse, their unemployment rate, all of the stuff that's going on, and probably most of all is how this is going to relate to a lot of us, or most of us, because I know we have a pretty diverse, group of people out there, which is really, really awesome, but how this is going to relate to many of us that are in the United States, or even to other countries as well, because we are not the only country that's struggling economically right now. There are a lot of countries that are going through something similar. So feel free to share your particular thoughts or comments about this at any time throughout this video. So that being said, let's just get right to this video. But if you guys enjoy videos like this, to share some support, consider smashing the like button, consider subscribing as we get more videos, keeping you guys up to date about what's going on in the economy and the world. If you guys are interested, of course, you guys can decide. And of course, as always, feel free to leave a comment about honestly just really anything. So with that said, let's get this video rolling and started. So the story to what's been happening right now is that the youth unemployment rate when they last reported it stands at 21.3%, but the reality is based off of the trajectory, because they haven't reported in about 3 months now, it's estimated that it's probably currently over 25%. To make matters even worse, not only is this such a high number, and again this refers to the youth unemployment rate, so people under 25, but not only has this situation gotten even worse and everything that's been going on, but to make matters even worse, this situation has been going on since the beginning of this year, and every single month since the start of this year. So for the last 9 months now, it's just been getting worse and worse and worse. So that's definitely something to keep note. To make matters even more worse, it's even more important to recognize that China happens to be a country with one of the most highest populated countries in the world, with a population of over 1 billion people. And while not 1 billion people are unemployed, or not 25% of 1 billion people are unemployed, nonetheless, within that 1 billion people, you definitely are going to have millions and millions, if not tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of, people that are in that particular age demographic now out of work. So this is definitely very, very serious. And if these people happen to be the people that represent our future, because again, keep in mind, this is people under 25, it's a very, very massive concern about where the future of China is going to be headed. So why is this exactly happening right now? And there's several reasons we're going to list out, but this article highlights some of the reasons why this is happening. So for example, the first reason really has to do with the zero COVID measures and the lockdowns that happened in the last recent year. There are many companies that are currently afraid to hire in general due to a lot of the restrictions that have been happening inside of our country, or inside of their country, because although that might be true in our country as well, But in their particular country, because of a lot of the restrictions that have been happening, it's been making an impact where it's difficult to run a lot of businesses. They essentially want to wait till the restrictions are more confidently over so that they can run their businesses with as much freedom as possible. And I think that's really the biggest idea behind what it is. In other words, they're waiting so that they can confidently say, you know what, it's now safe to run our businesses and let's start to hire again and keep things up and rolling. Now, the second reason why this is particularly happening is more actually something that's related to the US as well. And this is something going on to the US that's happening inside the United States right now. And it's really because of a mismatch between the jobs that are available and the skill sets of the people that are taking them. We've made a couple videos from the US or the American perspective of what's been happening there. So feel free to share a comment about, if you guys have any particular stories or thoughts about this. But the idea is that there is a lot of talks or a lot of just statistics right now and research done that many of the jobs that are currently available in China specifically happen to be around the tech and that people are looking for, the jobs that people are looking for happen to be in a lot of the prestigious sectors, so such as like tech and finance. The problem is that they are creating some brand new jobs, but the jobs happen to be more in things such as like service and hospitality and education. So what this really means is that just because you have 1 million people that are looking for jobs does not mean that you can fill every single 1 million jobs if there are 1 million jobs currently out there available. You can have 100,000 jobs available and then 100,000 people looking for jobs, but it's possible that within that demographic of 100,000 people, they all have healthcare background or hospitality background. But the jobs that were recently created are jobs that are in other industries like tech, like in engineering. There's just a bit of a mismatch. And actually the real reality is that a lot of the jobs available right now inside of China are just not necessarily high paying jobs. So just because someone is employed, and we've talked about this in so many videos in our channel, about how just because someone is employed, they're counted in the statistic of people employed, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily working a job that's very, very desirable. And a huge part of this channel is we talk a lot about why it's so important to find a job, but not just to find any job, but to find one that we hopefully can enjoy, because there's just so much to work than just trying to make money. Although that's still very, very important in general, there's things such as like fulfillment, satisfaction, work-life balance, happiness, mental health, physical health. It really just goes on and on and on. So this mismatch between skill sets and between what jobs are physically available, that's something that's happening in not just China, but even in the United States right now in general. We are going through a tough economy, and there's definitely a massive mismatch that we have to try to solve and fix up, regardless of the country you're currently in, because that's something that's happening to many places around the world right now. And this maybe leads on to the third reason why a lot of this is happening, and it's kind of an extension of the second reason, but it's really about general pickiness in jobs. There's a lot of people right now that are staying unemployed, but sometimes in some cases voluntarily, because they're not necessarily voluntarily, but it's more because they're trying to actively pursue a much better job. This is especially true because in China, and I guess this is a little bit of a personal insight as a Chinese person, there's a lot of people in China that are very, very high achieving, very, very prestigious. It's not just limited to China. It's limited to, it's a lot of other countries as well. But China in particular is known to just have a lot of people that are chasing high prestigious jobs, high paying jobs, and all that stuff. So because of that reason, there's a lot of people that just do not want to settle for any general job. They're trying to find the job, but not just any specific job, but just a job that's actually high paying, that's actually prestigious, that actually has an image behind it and everything in that particular world. So that's just the third reason why to mention up. And then the last reason to really share, and this is probably the most important reason that we might make another video extending into this, so definitely consider subscribing if you guys are interested in hearing a video about this, but it's really just about the general economy right now. Right now, China is just not doing very well economically. Export, imports, and everything in that world is going down. Their GDP is struggling. Their economy, they're going through deflation right now. Jobs are obviously, not doing very, very well. The job market market is not doing very well. This is just something that's also happening in the US, obviously. A lot of people have been saying that Americans are now starting to run out of money, but the reality is that in China, it's even worse. In China, it's basically everything in the US to an even larger scale. And I think that right now, until they're able to solve their economic issues, it's just going to be a very, very bleak moment inside of their economy. But the big idea is that these are just some general ideas to what's been happening right now. We just have to see what's going to happen, or what the government in China is going to do about all of this stuff. But at this current time, it doesn't look very, very promising. In fact, it looks very, very bleak. But we just have to see what actually physically happens in one of the future episodes or updates or news articles that hopefully comes out soon about China in general. But hopefully this kind of highlights the story to what's been happening there. So if you guys made it to the end, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, feel free to leave a comment. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, try to stay employed, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.